Hey, hello guys. Hey, hi Umesh, hi Reshma, hi Rohit. Good evening. We'll give a couple of minutes for others. Probably, I think might be chiming in to join. Yeah, hi everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Mohammed.
Hello.
Okay, we'll wait for another minute and then start. Okay, good evening. Okay, just want to see maybe you're free to. I have given the mic access to everyone. Yes. Okay, cool. So, which location are you guys connecting from? You guys are based out of India or any other location? Feel free to chime in, please.
Hi, I'm joined from Chennai location.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yes,
hi,
I'm.
my name is Rohit. Sorry, I am joining from Dublin, Ireland.
Hi, Rohit.
Thanks. Hi.
Yeah, hi, I'm Umesh. I'm joined from Pune, India.
Cool. Thank you. I'm a,
Hi, um, I'm Resma. I'm joining from US.
oh, nice. Thank you. Hi, Reshma. Okay,
Hello.
I think others are joining. So probably in the meantime, we'll just say like just want to get an understanding and overview. Like maybe not sure if you guys have gone through the course content and the earlier sessions, but let me know like in terms of your expectation from the course, what you are thinking or like do you have any prior experience with coding already, or is it the first time you are starting with any like in terms of databases? Uh, yeah, maybe if you can just share your details about for a minute, and then we'll start with the session. Okay, anyone? I'm just going through the alphabet, the order which I see on my screen. Maybe I'll start with Umesh. Umesh, you want to go ahead? Maybe if you can just share about it, like what is your expectation? Like you have any prior experience on databases, and so that I'll get some better understanding.
Yeah, actually, I have worked with on the SQL side.
Mm-hmm.
So Oracle, I don't have worked earlier. So SQL, I have experience that I'm writing the procedure and tuning the. Actually, much more I'm focused on the fine tuning of the queries or
Mm-hmm.
getting slow on the server side production server. So it is
Mm-hmm.
very much difficult to find out how to even tune that, make the
Mm-hmm.
faster that query and some efficient way to writing the procedure that I want to look in here.
Got it. Sure. And anyone else you want to go next? I'm just picking randomly, and I see Kuldeep next. You want to share some details, Kuldeep, like in terms of your expectation of the course and your prior experience with any database or programming language.
Good evening, there. Actually, I have experience in the security, but I just want to go through this Oracle SQL.
Mm, okay,
I
cool.
am I am a new to this course, so my expectation is like that.
Mm,
So I have a 16 years of experience in the cyber security and
got it.
cyber security and GRC.
Nice, nice. Okay, and probably we have new member Sahil. Hey, hi Sahil. Sahil, you're able to hear us, right? Okay. Anyone else you want to go next? Like you just want to share in terms of your bad experience or your expectation from the course?
Hey, hi, Venkata. I hope you're Venkat, right?
Yes,
Sorry.
you can call me Venkat.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Basically, I just introduced before myself, but just wanted to know. So I come from a product management background, um, and basically my expectations for SQL is right from scratch. I have absolutely no idea what SQL is, so I just wanted to make sure that I'm in the right course
Mm,
and that um, everything will be taken care of from scratch.
mm,
Um, although I know a little bit of coding, very little
mm,
bit,
mm.
how to run the select and the commands, but I'd, I mean, I would like to learn everything. I saw the curriculum before I was supposed to join,
Mm.
but just wanted to know everything right from scratch.
Got it.
Thanks.
Got it. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I think we have good number. Probably we'll start and we'll interact during this session. So it's not that I'm going to skip others, but yeah, feel free to unmute yourself during the call and any questions, anything you want to get some clarification, feel free. And so that we'll give a small intro in terms of our curriculum, what we are going to cover and everything. And again, we'll spend another 5 to 10 minutes to clear any questions or queries in the meantime as well. Okay.
Hi, Venkat.
Hey, hi Shishir.
I just wanted to know one thing.
Yes,
The course or curriculum will be kind of for practicing parallelly, or
that's right.
uh, do you have
That's
enough
right.
number of
We will
credits
share
practice?
the database details as well. And I think that the fourth day onwards, we will share the on-premise database with all the registered participants with the course. And
Okay.
from the fourth day onwards, which is the first day of the actual training, we would have the complete overview of the use case, what we are going to cover as an examples, like the data models, tables, whatever we create, the queries, how we want to write it. For each of the
Okay.
concept what we're going to cover, right? I will
Yeah.
give you the base of a use case. I'll For this batch, I have kind of taken a banking application sort of thing, which I believe most of us would be very familiar in our day-to-day activities or life. And probably in the further once you start it, we can discuss if you want to have a different use case sort of thing. I have a couple of more use cases for it, and each and every day topics whatever we do, we would cover the concept, the theoretical concepts, and practically how we are going to apply it to the use case as well, so that you will understand the requirement side, and from the design side, you will have a understanding how we are converting it, how we are understanding that as well.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks for asking. Okay. Yeah, we will cover that in more in details as the session goes on.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome, guys. Good evening and good morning based on your time zone location. Okay, this is batch 342 for Oracle SQL and PLSQL from Logic Labs Technologies. And myself, Venkata, I'll be taking over, or they will be the instructor for you for this course on Oracle SQL and PLSQL. Okay, so as we interacted with few members in the course, right? And so this primarily the Oracle SQL and PL would, as we have members who have little bit of understanding in terms of the databases with SQLs, and we have members who maybe like a novice in terms of the databases side, and we have members have like who has a little bit of experience already on it and want to understand more in terms of uh, little advanced topics of performance tuning or fine tuning our code, the way to write the code in a better way. We would cover all those things. So most of our concepts, whatever we're going to cover, um, maybe people who already know it might feel like a little known already with those concepts, but the intention is to have the content or the topics what we're going to cover kind of a balance between both these sides. And as we do the exercises or the assignment on a weekly basis, you will have more practice and hands-on in terms of what we are going to cover. Okay. And myself, Venkata, I have about 16 years of experience in the IT industry and around like 4 years of experience on freelancing or pre career of IT as well. And I have about uh, 6 to 7 years of experience on the teaching, the corporate teaching, and along with the what do you call the regular day-to-day development activities or design activities as part of the technical architecture side. So I kind of work as both. I kind of evolved from the lead technical architect and to the solution architect, and kind of working as an enterprise architect in another MNC organization. So I'll be going through, so kind of like with my passion towards teaching, I've kind of used my time to teach the kids in the mid-age or mid school in the government schools across, and kind of on the training centers. I kind of leveraging my time at the moment to explain, share the knowledge, and get more experienced or understanding to myself. Okay. So that's about me in terms of the IT side, and I kind of worked almost all the databases which eventually everyone in the industry get a chance to explore a new technology. So eventually I kind of worked in multiple tech stacks. So anywhere you feel needs a more detailed sort of thing, I'll try to answer that covering along with the day-to-day concepts and everything. Okay. And for people, in case you haven't seen the communication prayer, and this is a 30-day program which would be happening from Monday to Friday on weekdays from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST hours. And for registration and support, whatever you require during the process, I will share the link with you. I'll show the link as well, where you can see the details for not just for the Oracle SQL and PL SQL. There are tons of other courses which Logic Lab uh, conducts on a day-to-day basis. So we can go through those courses as well in case you are interested in any of the course. And again, this is a 30-day course only on weekdays, not the weekends, so Monday to Friday, and which starts with today with the demo session. Okay, and again, the first three sessions, whatever we are covering here, are the demo sessions, which are kind of free, open to everyone to join, get some understanding, get some comfort level, and make sure you are comfort before you do the actual payment or registration as well. And any questions, any queries, clarifications, feel free to get it clarified in either of these three sessions before you can go on or proceed with the next step as well. And after the registration, all the day-to-day course, the recordings, everything will be recorded, and you will have access to the LMS portal of Logic Labs, and you can access through all the details, the recording and day-to-day notes, assignments, whatever we are going to cover. I'll share it over the support team, and they will have the recordings and assignments, everything updated on the portal. Probably like the recording takes time, right, from Zoom, probably an hour or two to get that processed from the Zoom and get the link and everything. So once the session is done 10 p.m, probably expect couple of hours to have that or reflected that on your LMS portal, and same with the content as well. So team would be uploading that shortly after the daily session, and these recordings will be available for you, so you can walk through them, go through the details anytime you feel doubtful, or any clarification you want to go through it once again. We're happy to go through the recording, and any question we can discuss that on the next day's session and get it clarified as well. So any support during the session, you can reach out to the support team anytime, obviously during the office hours. Okay, so the the website, in case you haven't seen that, the logilabs tech.com, you can navigate through the website and you can see the all the courses which are available. And in case you want to join through the community, you can go through the WhatsApp community here. I'll ping this over the meeting chat window as well. And the day-to-day communications, in terms of general communication, if the maybe unforeseen circumstances, if the session got cancelled in a day, or maybe due to some technical issues, in case I face an issue, team will send out over this channel to you, and eventually over the email as well. And any new courses, any content, whatever happens from Logic Labs, you will have the communication over the WhatsApp community. And you can register for the demo session, the Zoom link which you already have it, and the payment link. Once you feel comfortable, you can visit the payment link and do the payment to confirm on the registration. And the course content, everything I'll walk through during this session. And if you want to have a walkthrough once again offline during your time, you can click on the course content link and feel free to check out those details during your free time. Okay, and yeah, that's on the registration site, the community link and the payment link and the course content as well. Okay, I'll walk you through the course content. I'm not skipping that. I'll show that. I have that in the slides anyhow. Okay, and only request from my side during this session is feel free to raise your hand or use the chat window or unmute yourself. I've given the mic access to everyone. Feel free to unmute, and whatever question or doubt you have it clarified. It will eventually help not just you, others as well, in case they had a similar question or doubt. Okay, yeah, that's on the overall format of the course and the schedule of the course, and the other links which I shared with you. And before we can start with some of the content, I'll just uh, hold on for a second over the curriculum in case you haven't seen that. I'll pause in a minute. Feel free to glance through the content. Let me know in case you have any question or doubt or any confusion anytime. Okay, so we pretty much cover almost all the topics which would typically require for an intermediate developer or an starting developer in terms of Oracle SQL and PL SQL. And in case you have any queries regarding some of those additional topics, we will try to cover it during the session as well. And in case if it's a very vast topic, you need some additional details probably which cannot be clarified in 1 or 2 sessions in that doc clarification, probably we can have an extension to it or a separate session so that we can cover those advanced topics as well. Okay, so we'll start with the introduction sessions in terms of people who do not have the prior understanding of databases, what is database management systems, and the RDBMS of it. And then we'll discuss about the RDBMS concepts, and we'll discuss about what are the different objects we create in SQL with Oracle especially. And creating those objects, we will see session in phase by phase, right? First, we'll start with tables. We'll create some tables. We'll insert some data. We'll write some queries, use some functions, analytical functions, or some different joins, filter conditions, different structures of the SQL with where clauses, group by clauses, having clauses, sort of thing. We'll try to understand a bit more on the queries, and then we'll understand the TCL and the DCL commands for the data control or transaction control commands. And then we cover a bit of the views, how to we'll discuss about the security aspects of the data, right? So whenever we talk about data, we have each of these concepts, the way it evolved in the technology, and the we'll cover not just in terms of theory, but we'll cover the problem in each step what we are learning, and what is the next topic or the next step which was evolved to cover the drawbacks of each of these topics. So that's how we cover with basic queries, next with views, next with materialized views, and then with joins, sequences, or roles, synonyms, and custom indexes. And we'll cover the security both at the table level and the query level, and then in terms of the business functionality, and in terms of PL/SQLs as well. So eventually, once we understand how the basic structures are formed, how it is working, and I'll show you the database architecture as well, where each of the concept we will try to understand from the database architecture as well. How when I write a query, how is it working out? When I write some PL/SQL, how is it working out? When I interact with a SQL engine, how is it working out? How the cache is formed? How different logs are maintained? How the transaction control will be done? I'll try to show it in terms of the database architecture so that you can try to correlate. Okay, so I learned this concept. Now in the database side, this is the place, or these are those features in our Oracle database where that work is being done. So we'll try to have a one-on-one mapping with each concept what we have learned, and some of the advanced feature which the new versions are getting or the new enhancements and new versions are upcoming with those things. Okay, and at the end we'll cover some DBA concepts. We'll not go in detail into database administration part of this course, but I'll give you some of the basic concepts which are must and good to have for a developer. It's not that I developer should not always say that it's a DBA job, right? So you need to understand, like, when something is not working correctly, what could be the problem of it, right? So what could be the reason for it? We need to understand the problem why it is coming up. Eventually, you will understand how the DBA is going to work it out for it. So that way, if someone wants to convert to a DBA, now you can scale up, convert to a DBA activities as well, and with some programming help with the PL/SQL and SQL, your life becomes easy even as a DBA. So we'll start with the Oracle SQL and PL/SQL, which is like in terms of database understanding in terms of databases, writing some queries or writing some PLSQL, this is the basic foundation for you. So once this concept is clear, you can easily correlate the concept with any different database, and you can easily try to understand how different databases work as well. Okay, I'll pause in a minute once again here and let me know in case you have any questions, clarifications, any doubts. So is the content matching with your expectation? Do you think anything else can be added to it, or you probably might be thinking like something I want to cover it sort of thing? Feel free to let me know so that I can clarify whether the topics what we are going to cover touches those areas or not, or will that be a different session altogether. I'll try to clarify it now itself. So, okay, okay, thank you, Rohit. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have a question,
Yes,
if you don't
please.
mind. Uh, do you also cover the fine tuning part of it?
Yes, part of
And
the queries, whatever we are going to cover with
okay,
indexes and the way we are going to write the queries, I will cover the concept how each of these joins work, whether it's hash join or the straight join or the full table scans, how that works out in terms of the performance. And I'm not going to go in detail about the complex performance tuning, but I would be basically covering each of the concept, the joins, how it's going to work, and how to fine tune it. Because whenever I write the first time I join, I don't visualize the data. Right now,
right.
part of these steps, I'll show you how to visualize the data and how to change your query so that it works faster. And while doing
Perfect.
this operation, I'm going to show you with the explain plan, without the change how is it working, with the change how is it working. So when we
Okay,
cover the
thanks.
indexes, I'll cover about the indexes, how to create it, and I'll cover about how to forcefully apply an index as well. And along with the PL sequels as well, when you come through, I'll explain you the dynamic parameters to the sequels, part of the PL sequel, and I'll try to show you the difference in the terms of the SQL IDs which are generated for it, and with the pros and cons of that approach as well.
Perfect. And can I ask one more last question, if you don't mind?
Mhm.
Do you have an advanced course after this for DBA itself?
Um, DBA, we haven't what do you call published that course, Rohit, but probably I'll discuss with the team and have the one schedule for it. But as such, we haven't uh, published that schedule yet for the DBA, because most
Okay,
of the people whom we get the request are mainly from the developers. But in case we have a good number of DBA interested people, we can have that session as well.
okay, thanks.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions, clarifications? Okay, cool. In case you get through any question, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself, and happy to clarify that. Okay. So the first topic is the introducing the first three sessions. It will cover more from the introduction. So people who knows the database, probably couple of slides you might feel little bored or a known topic, but people who do not know about it, probably they find it little useful in terms of learning. Okay, and based on your experience, right, people who worked on it or people who not have any experience on it, what exactly is a database as per your understanding? Anyone want to take a lead? What exactly is a database as per your understanding? Okay, I'll go. Okay, now database as a name represents itself, right? Data, nothing but the information in any format, be it a text, be it a speech, be it an visual, uh, any sort of information. The data which is stored, which is something which a system can understand, right? And the place where you're storing the information is as simple as what we call as database. And you might come back and say, uh, when I talk about databases in terms of digital world, we talk about like and very huge data, right? Doesn't need to be. Right? It can be a very small database as well, right? To be frank, I can call my notebook, whatever I have with me, is also a database because it consists information. It consists the information, probably may not be a digital format, but it is information. And I'm storing that information in one way where I can write it, I can read it, I can modify the information, I can share that information with someone else, I can share that book with someone else. So it's not in a digital format, but in a physical format which is available with me. Even that is in simple terms called as database. But just because we are learning in terms being in a virtual digital world, so in a virtual digital world, here it's data which is stored in the digital format for us. In the outside real world, it is stored in physical copies, be it in a file, be it in a book, be it in library. It consists information for you. And the intention of calling a database is something like it should be reusable, it should be shareable, and you can read it, you can modify it, you can maybe correct it, right? Correct it or delete that as well. So information should be accessible to anyone across the globe, across the world. So we call that is nothing but as a database, the place where we are storing this information, be it a small amount or be it a large amount. And it can be stored, accessed, and shared across the globe by anyone. And when I say about shared across by anyone, any data which we have in our real life scenarios can be treated in three different segments. One, the public information. Second, the private information. Third, the confidential information. So information at a high level can be grouped in three different categories. Public, obviously anyone can see it, anyone can read it, then anyone can circulate it as well. Private, which is only to particular people who can maybe two or three only to them, which is completely private to them. It is not shared publicly by outside. Maybe something like some information which I share within my family. And confidential, it can be shared with the other person, but he does not have the right or privilege to share with the other person again. So it's confidential between two or three, maybe n number of people, and it cannot be shared outside of it without the permission. So similar way, even in a database, you can share the information across the because it's available over a system, a virtual device. You can share it anywhere where internet access is available, but the person who needs to read it or who needs to manage or create should have the necessary access to do it. Same way how we are going to manage with the books as well, right? I i can have my personal diary, which is obviously personal to me. It's a private information. Maybe some I might have some financial information written in one of the book, which is confidential. Only my mm, family members are supposed to read it. Even if someone gets that, they are not supposed to read it as well. Same thing maybe a newspaper, which is public information. Anyone can read it anytime and can be shared again. And the intention of this information, what are we going to talk about databases, as we are talking about business, right? We are talking not just about a personal information. So information what we are going to use the large database predominantly is for business. The information which is collected, maybe it can be a web form, maybe it can be a phone call, it can be a text message, whatsoever. It needs to improve the business. You're trying to write some queries, you're trying to collect some data, you're trying to utilize the information, right? It needs to add some value add to the business outcome, and it needs to help it in order to improve the business. And improving the business can be multiple ways. Maybe you want to keep a track of, I might mention as customers, but how would you improve it, right? By keeping a track of the information, by taking a track of the important entities or important stakeholders part of your flows. It can be some customer information, right? So uh, I'm a customer for a bank, for example, right? Now bank keeps a track of my information. It keeps a track, maybe my KYC information, which is up to date, what type of accounts I have it, how much amounts am I maintaining in my account. Eventually, based on this information, they try to provide some offers, maybe a credit card offer, maybe in loans with better interest rate. It can be multiple things. Eventually, those decisions, those metrics, whatever I'm capturing, are utilized to improve the business. It can be some customer data, it can be some any other stakeholder or entity whom the business is running it on. So eventually most of applications across the globe runs on customers. We are an customer to one or the other entities knowingly and unknowingly, and all through that business process runs on the customers again. And information whatever I store in the database, right? And so I'm not going to store the information like the KYC information, phone number, email ID, or the personal identifiers, maybe passport numbers, PAN card numbers, or etc. Right? I'm not going to store the information or share the information with the banks or any portals unless I feel it's secured and trustworthy. Only then I can feel that trust
ಬುಕ್
while
ತಕ್ತಿದ್ದಂತ
sharing the information.
ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟ್ರ
And
ಬುಕ್ ತಕ್ತಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ
it this information can be personal information or it can be complete
ಏಜ್
PI information as well. And it has to be trustworthy. You need to build the confidence with your application. And building the confidence can be handled in multiple ways. Maybe the data you might want to store it's encrypted data. Maybe it may not be encrypted in some certain scenarios, but access to that data is completely restricted in a properly designed security layer, right? So you can have it in multiple ways, right? So it all depends how you're going to manage it. And the whole need of all this activity is build that trust on your application. Make sure that entities, stakeholders involved in your business processes or the data are reliable and you are accountable for the data whatever is being captured and being used. And everything whatever we do with any of this information has to happen on a database. You need to have that information centrally stored somewhere. And what we call here is nothing but the database in simple terms again. And as we're talking about the databases, right? So eventually it's not going to be one format. So as we started the first example, we started with a notebook or maybe some newspaper whatsoever, right? It's a piece of paper. It can be an book, file, or anything. And the digital format, eventually when this information started, right, we used to have some form of a text file or some later different formats of a pipe delimited file started. Maybe a comma separated files were started, maybe later with excel files or word files or powerpoints, different format, different ways of representation have started. These are completely file driven data, so you can access it, you can create some, modify some data and share that information, but it has its own limitations eventually, right? So having concurrency of it, having sharing multiple copies have become difficult to track those changes, everything, so it became difficult for it. Eventually the advanced version in terms of a relational database came in picture, and then we started with NoSQL database uh, to avoid the table track structure or streamline the structure with rows and columns multiple places. Not all places can be done in the same format, right? It can be a text file doesn't have a proper structure to it. Now, if I want to make it structure, I need to go through it, go through, do the analysis, and then structure the information in form of a table. So it's not going to be viable as we collect so much of data on the digital applications. So having that analysis, doing that properly, structuring is not going to be easy. So eventually, it started with NoSQLs, and then as the programming's app evolved, now you want information not just in a table format with rows and columns. You want information in object format so that your programming language, okay, maybe in C++ code, maybe Java code, or maybe any other programming language, it's easy for it to read the data or dump the data or create the data, because these are some of those the way some kind of way it's created, some by nature or by design, it's in terms of object based design. So eventually we converted into the object based designs as well, so that we try to replicate the characteristics of data or properties of data in terms of bringing some mutations, bringing some access right, bringing some API based approach sort of thing to this information via the classes and methods and everything again. So bit of object-oriented programming. And then we eventually, most of us are kind of working on the native cloud applications. So maybe some applications you might feel are working on cloud, but those are not native cloud application. And some applications have built from scratch, being a native to cloud applications for it. And most of the applications whatever we are using uh, now have the flavor inbuilt to it, right? So with the distributed, so it's not going to be one place where you're going to have the information. It's going to be multiple places where you're going to have the information kind of shared across these locations over the network topology again. And the hierarchical where you want to have some parent-child relationship structure sort of thing, or a tree sort of structure part of your data, right? Any application which requires that sort of information for you. So we kind of use it in hierarchical structure, so that not just storing the data in the database, but mapping that in a logical fashion to the uh, application whatever we are going to design with is going to be easy one-to-one mapping in terms of understanding and the architectures as well. So it's not that one database fits into all models, all use cases in the market. So we have like billions of use cases. Some will fit for relational databases, some would fit for NoSQL, some would fit for hierarchical sort of structures. So we would kind of decide what would be the right approach, what would the right database and what would be the right design for my database. So eventually as you start your work, all these activities are going to be your designing or modeling aspects of it. And I mean, there are multiple types, so it it kind of kept on evolving. It's not something like it stopped anywhere, so it kept on evolving. and we have different, not just those basic types, right? The ones which I've shown you, like very commonly and high level types. Within that, we have like multiple types of databases again. So we have relational or SQL based database, which it's mostly like the structured data, right? The properly streamlined, properly structured information for you. So wherever you have this requirement to have the information properly structured, neatly clean data accessed by all the applications, by all the users, eventually you end up having a SQL or a relational database. And you can have like unstructured data, like very junk data, unstructured, different formats, a heterogeneous sort of data collection for you. So we eventually kind of go with NoSQL database as well. Within these databases, again, we have column based database, not just with a row level database the way we have with a typical relational database. We do have databases which are work with column based database. Typically happens with a mapped data, and you want to have one data property and multiple elements can club into this data property. So if you want to have some analytics sort of thing, it's easy to have it on the column database. And all these are different databases. It's again, as I mentioned, one database structure does not fill all requirements, all use cases. So you're going to decide which one best fits to your use case, and then eventually you're going to pick up that sort of application and design your databases for it. Okay, I'll there's a lot of content over it which I kind of kept it a self-sufficient or self reading to give a small gist of what this database does. So we're not going to go in detail to it because we'll be covering more from the RDBMS side, but my intention is to give you like what are the different options which you see in the market, right? So I'll pause in a minute here. Feel free to glance through and let me know in case any of the section is not clear for you. I'll try to answer this and make it more clear. Okay, I believe no questions. Okay, I'll want to next section. So as we discussed more in detail, right, at a structured or at a high level, whenever we see a most commonly used sort of format structure, which is relational database or the NoSQL sort of database, which can kind of heterogeneous type of data, and the time series sort of database where the applications where you want to have the timing as important as your analysis or the business decisions. So we kind of have the information in a time series sort of data as well. So I've given some of examples like MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, which are very commonly used at an enterprise level, right? So as I said, no one wants information in unstructured way when on your day-to-day activity. So we prefer to be the data to be clean, data to be easily understandable. So we kind of mostly we tend towards the SQL database. And again, in real world, we'll have different documents. To understand those documents, it's again information, right? You need to convert into digital format to make it more understandable. So that's where we have the NoSQL type of databases to do these sort of activities. Eventually some of these decisions or downstream systems of the NoSQL database might end up with SQL databases as well. So, and again, one organization is not going to have one database. So depending on different touch points of my intake or inflow of the data, I might choose different databases within that. Okay. Any questions, any doubts, any clarifications? Okay, so we discussed about different types, right? Now, what exactly should a database consist on the systematic way, on digital format, right? One is the hardware. Like eventually, you need a hardware, right? You need a machine to run it through. You need a machine to get some power. You need a machine to get some CPU, and you need the machine to encapsulate all the different components of a server for you, right? It's the actual hardware where the system or the server is running for you, right? Now eventually to it, to the system, so hardware doesn't do anything. You need the programs, you need the software to manage different components, different schedules, different agents, different threads, different activities which are happening with it automatically. Eventually you kind of have some programs which does this activity, right? So whenever I have some data, in a we have different formats. One, a physical storage and a logical storage. Logical storage is what we see on screen, we see from the database management system, but in a physical layer, it's a different format. In the raw format, it's going to have its own optimizer within the database again to store the data in an optimized way. So the same way how we are going to see our Windows application, for example, right? You might have some files, different disk, everything, but it's only a logical representation for you in a folder, file, multiple files for it. But in the actual physical storage on your hard disk, it does not store the information like that, right? It's going to have some logical structure, the binary format, where it's going to store it. Similarly, even on the database management, we're going to have the logical database and the physical database as well. So we're going to cover those things as we see through it. And obviously the data which is the actual crux of your application, the raw data for you, right? And both in the physical and the logical format. And as you mentioned, data access. So you need a way, like as I mentioned, physical database, we can't understand it easily, but we need some interface or some way to communicate, talk through this software which can provide the information in the format I require. So I need a language to talk to it. So just like how we used to have like Java programming or C language or C++, different systems, different layers have its own way of programming, have its own way of communicating. Similarly, even a database, based on the type of database you use, what type of application you use, they might have some common way of talking to each other using SQL. They might have some proprietary languages where you basically need to understand maybe a slight difference in terms of it, right? So depending on that, you have a language to talk with your data. And you have data, you have memory, you have some access language, you need some protocols, you need some business logic to handle that complex different permutations and combinations, different programming, different logical units which you need to build to it, right? So you're basically building a workflow for yourself whenever you have some database or any application, right? So it's similar to it. Even a database, you have some sort of programming layer for you in terms of the execution part. And with Oracle, we call it as the PLSQL component. And the other databases we call it as some less pro components sort of thing, right? It's basically a programming component which can encapsulate your business logic, do some of those verifications or validations or processing of data, and then gives you the final output in the format you require. So the high level, we discussed about the database. We discussed about different types of databases, and we discussed about the components of database. So we have seen different types, be it NoSQL, be it SQL, be it document based, or be it any sort of system. It's just the software what is given here. It's just only the software, but the layer and the different components what a database would consist remains the same, right? The model is, the skeleton is the same, but my structure, my way of communicating, my way of understanding in terms of data, my way of handling the data might be different. But the skeleton in terms of any database are kind of most more or less are the same structure you follow. Maybe few if and buts depending on the enterprise architecture, how the application is built to. Maybe it can be a few if and plus or minus to it. Okay, and we talked about databases, and next we talk about the database management systems. So we talked about the software which handles a lot of these complex logics and everything, right? So in simple terms, this whole combination, having an software to handle all these activities, to control how the database works out, how we interact with it, how it understands it, how it stores information, everything is clubbed together or packed together as a DBMS, database manage systems, or database management systems we call that. So in simple, it's the brain of a database, or maybe the way of how a database works out, right? So it involves multiple steps like data modeling, data storage, retrieval, data integrity, and data security, and the backup and recovery. So these are some of those features which any database, be it Oracle, be it MySQL, be it Microsoft SQL Server, be it any other application, kind of have these features. These are the basic building blocks when I have a database management application or a DBMS. So the way of working in each of these category or each of these step might be little different, but it should have all these features in terms of handling your data consistently and trustworthy and data integrity to be maintained. So what we'll do is we would discuss about more in details about these systems, how a database management system looks like, and how what are different steps to it, what are different components of it. We would discuss them in tomorrow's session. So today we kind of discuss just and gave an hint of what we are going to cover part of this course, and we covered a simple introduction session, and we would cover more in details of how the database management system works out, and we would cover about like uh, from the database management system we will drill down to the relational database management system, one subset of what we are going to learn, and then we will discuss about how it going to work out, how these six primary components of the database management system, how it works out in general of the DBMS. We would cover more in detail of it, and then we go on to the Oracle part of it. We'll discuss little bit of the Oracle history, and then to the RDBMS part of it. So we would cover more details in tomorrow's as a continuation topic. So okay, I'll pause in a minute here. Let me know any questions, any doubts. I'll try to show the link once again with the upcoming batches. I'll ping it over this chat window as well for you. Feel free to go through the link, and you can see the course for the Oracle SQL and PLSQL, the batch number 342, and you can click on the WhatsApp community. You can join the community link to get the regular updates of the courses and the demo sessions registration link and the payment link and the course content. So once you feel comfortable, you can go to the payment link and you can complete the payment for it. So the first three sessions will be demo sessions, and the fourth session onwards will be only for the paid participants. And I'll show you from the fourth session, we will share all the credentials, and I'll share the in-house database credentials with you, and along with it I would also show how to get the Oracle cloud database account and create an autonomous database for you as well, which is always free database from Oracle. So you can use it, you can connect to it anytime. So I'll show all those steps from the which is the first topic on day 4. So today we kind of covered on the databases, bit of hinge about different databases and everything. Okay. And let me know in case any questions, any doubts, any clarifications. Okay. I hope you are clear with the curriculum, what we are going to cover. Okay, cool, cool. I'll I don't want to go to the curriculum again, and I'll have given the links for you. So feel free to check this out during your free time. We will meet tomorrow once again. And in case you have some questions or clarifications, feel free to reach out to the support team, or we can discuss that in tomorrow's session. So I'll clarify those as well. Okay. Okay. If no other questions or doubts, we'll close this session here for today. And tomorrow we'll connect for day 2 of demo session. We'll continue our topics in terms of database management system, and we'll move on to the relational database management system as well. Okay. Okay. I believe no other questions. Okay. Cool. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for joining, and we will meet for tomorrow's session, same time, 9 p.m. IST. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.